Hey, just do it. Drop the safety net. In my high school, there was a music teacher, and for decades, he taught in classrooms and gave private lessons. Well, he himself, you could play a little bit of the piano, accordion, trumpet, and other brass instruments, and he actually had a very nice voice. Um, but he wasn't spectacular in any of those performance areas. But he had the hallmark of what all good teachers possess. He found in his pupils, he found that inner core that allowed them to experience and utilize their God-given talents as fully as we were all capable. George Herring was just so dedicated to the high school. He wrote the alma mater, he wrote the fight song. And most of us, I think, carry memories of performing better than we thought we ever could, certainly more than we were capable of. And it was all because he was able to find that whatever it is inside of us that made it just come alive. He used what's known as the beginner's mind. Clean like a blank page, open and receptive and eager to learn something new, to go in whatever direction he provided. At his funeral, there were no tapes of his music making. He made it clear that he wanted his students to provide the hymns and the melodies. Many had not played publicly in a lot of years, and there were more than a few missed notes. But no matter. The funeral slowly morphed into a celebration of thanksgiving for what he had helped each of us find in ourselves that we would never lose. More than skill or talent, he had helped us to find the confidence in ourselves and an appreciation of what we could do, what he was able to pull out of us. It became a celebration of a life well lived, a melody well played, lessons well taught, and so well learned. I imagine this is how it was for Simon Peter that day on the lake. The Sea of Galilee was also called Gennesareth, the lake of the garden riches, because it was surrounded by fertile land and prosperous community. That inhibited most of those major towns around the area there. They were people who did work very hard. They were people who were fishermen. They were people who did farming. There were people who did stonemasonry or carpentry like Jesus did. But Peter, on this day, things aren't going so well for him. He had just spent a whole night fishing. He took the guys out. They kept dropping the net. Nothing. He comes back in the morning. They just got done putting everything away, cleaning out the nets. And he was tired. And he was so disappointed. And then that preacher from over in Nazareth, the equivalent to the project area or any area you just didn't want to be from, asks Peter to use his boat as a platform. Now, he just got done cleaning everything up, and it's probably still kind of swaying in the water. But this preacher from Nazareth wants to use it to preach from, to teach from. Why not? Certainly it was no use to Peter right now because he was just tired and disgusted, and, he could have hunkered down in his boat just that morning and closed down his heart and surrendered himself to the failure from the night before. He could have relived every hour, every useless throw of the net, every wrong decision made, whether it was about the direction, the location, the bait. He could have blamed his wife for sabotaging his attitude, or maybe even his sick mother-in-law, whose medical condition was distracting for sure. He could have taken the poison pill marked yesterday and let it kill his spirits. Then Jesus asks him to take the boat out again and lower the nets. If Peter was focused on yesterday, he would never have done it. If past failure was huge within him, he wouldn't have had the courage. But Peter said no to yesterday and yes to today, placing all his hope in Jesus. It was a good decision. Now, the readings this week say God does it. In our first reading, Isaiah gets to see God and live and receives his call directly from that heavenly court. And in the second reading, Jesus himself appears to the person to whom you would never have expected, the ugly ex-persecutor, Paul. And in the gospel, Peter, along with the other two of the big three apostles, Peter, John, and James, accept their mission straight from Christ. Despite their protesting that they're not ready, they're inadequate, they really can't handle this, these three are actually quite privileged, and as it turned out, ready to follow God completely. Three figures this week, protest they are unworthy. Isaiah, I am a man of unclean lips. Paul, I am the least of the apostles. And Peter, depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man. Nonetheless, they are chosen to witness God's glory and advance God's mission. Whoever you are, however unworthy you may feel, God has something important for you to do. What is it? What is it you're holding back? The call of God on our lives is at once a call, to the most profound and to the most practical. Though the invitation of God is to give our whole selves, the manner of our response is typically focused on, small, specific actions, right where we live. So to what in my life and to what in your life do you need to say, here I am, Lord? And the church said, Amen.